In this video, we'll be harvesting my field for the first time. But before we do that, here are 15 seconds of highlights from Grant's harvest. And now it's time to haul Grant's combine to my field.
How were the cones?
Cones were good.
No problems whatsoever.
Power lines and bridges, you cleared perfectly.
Yeah, plenty of clearance. No problems at all.
You're good. Keep going, Tim. That's right. We're good. We're good.
By the time we got the combine hauled up and ready to go, it was now mid-afternoon. The plan here is to open up my end rows to get to Gary's field, the neighbor to the south. Now, Grant actually purchased Gary's 45-acre field a month prior to harvest, and the idea is we'll get Gary's corn out first, and then the following days come back and knock mine out. So Grant will be running combine, Gary in his grain cart, and I'll haul the wagons in. And if all goes well, we should make a good team and harvest faster than we ever have before. And sorry about the annoying buzzing sound in the combine. That's a sensor that's broken, and we couldn't figure it out for the first couple days. All right, I just got back with the first load. We filled the wagon like half full. We filled it up with the end rows here so I can get turned around. And Grant right now is running on Gary's, the neighbor who is running the grain cart.
This is basically going to be our runway here for Gary to grain cart through Spencer's farm. We're going to go do Gary's now. Here's the fence line between Spencer's farm and technically my new farm now. First time we got equipment on it. We are rolling with Gary. He's got his 4640 and then a 650 bushel cart there. Working good. Okay, Gary's headed out. Oh man, I'm gonna want a grain cart after this. We got Gary full there. Man, I love his setup. The 4640 and the 650 demo, it's about like a perfect combination. Oh, have I said how much I love having a grain cart, guys? This is super nice. Flat bottom, crick bottom, that's super flat along here. You planned it really nicely so it kind of contours with it around this hill. We're gonna call it here for tonight because co-op closes soon. And then we'll easily be able to get this done tomorrow. I was afraid our corn head was gonna keep plugging up there because in Spencer's stocks, and Spencer's got a lot greener, bigger stalks here. This stuff's pretty dry, and I have not had that corn head plug once yet. Okay, we are getting rolling for harvest day 2 here. Got the combine started, got Gary's tractor warming up.
While they were harvesting, I'm running the wagons into the local co-op. It's nice that it's only a few miles away and gravel roads for most of it. I timed it. It takes me about 40 minutes for a round trip, and when I'm back, they have a cart full, which is perfect timing.
And we got the last 6 rows. And there we go. She is done. She is done. Now we're heading to Spencer's. I think the game plan is I talked to Gary. Gary's gonna let us use his cart, which is actually gonna work really good. And he's gonna run the cart for today. And then I think, I don't know, maybe me or my dad will run the cart tomorrow and Monday, because I think it's gonna take us a while to get this harvested here. I'm super grateful that Gary let us custom harvest that because now we have all the yield data and that works great. And it was just fun harvest. It was just super fun harvesting along with the previous owner and stuff as we finish up his crop here. So
once Grant finished up combining, we quickly went over here and knocked out this 5-acre little rectangle. I didn't get any of it on video. I just wanted to focus on combining and make sure everything was going smoothly. So let's look here and see what it ended up yielding. It's kind of fun to come back and look at it. Anything in green is 200 bushels to the acre plus. Anything below it, yellow and red, is less than that. And then the dark green right there is going to be 300 plus. So it looks like it was 4 acres that I highlighted there, and that did 185. What's cool to see is if we make a new rectangle inside of the end rows from the deer damage and tree damage, now it goes up to 216. So that's kind of cool. You can exclude your end rows and see what the good stuff yielded. Here we are opening up the 30-acre piece, and I can't imagine how Grant combined for days on end with the buzzer going off like that. I got so annoyed right away, I scrolled on forums until I saw how to get it turned off later on. The sun was going down when we were finishing the end row, so we quickly filled up Grant to take one more load in.
you're good.
All right, this was a of wet dirt, mud, and this is big. I mean, that's up to my knees right there. So Grant came through here with the wagon fully loaded, and I didn't show him exactly where not to drive. Like this right here is the wettest spot. Dry, well, somewhat dry. He went right down the worst spot. So I am surprised the wagon did not break something. The amount of force that was getting pulled through here and here. I mean, the 6x6 is gonna rip it off. All right, so it's Saturday, the second day of harvesting here, and we ended up finishing Gary's, and then now we're on to mine, and I think I got about 10 acres done of the roughly 43 acres that we're gonna do here. So the 5 acres here really got taken out by like the trees and then all the trees here, but in the middle, it was yielding pretty good. Did all the end rows on the 30 acres and haven't touched the other side of the creek, the like 11 acres. So we got some deer eating all the corn I shot out the back of the combine. All right, I might have spilled a little bit of corn.
No corn goes to waste.
That's right.
Sacrifice the hat.
It's good enough. We gotta feed a little for the squirrels.
I'm glad we did that.
Okay, so your first farm harvesting, what are you thinking so far?
But probably farm average will come in around like 180, 190 with the end rows and everything combined. And I'm excited over there. The end rows should all be good over there. So if we section that off, that'll be a good representation. Hopefully the combine doesn't plug up a bunch. We'll go slow, and then we have all the time in the world today, so then finish tomorrow.
Grant earlier mentioned the corn head roller in one row was acting up a few days earlier when taking out my end rows. Well, that went away when we were in Gary's corn, and his being drier, there weren't any issues until we switched to mine. With my stuff not being as dried down and the stalks being so tough, the worn out roller started to really struggle and bunch up. To keep the combine moving and not stopping every 10 feet, we increased the header speed, which unfortunately causes a little bit more header loss, and then just slow down the ground speed of the combine. So it seemed like those were the best two combinations to keep it from bunching up the least amount as possible. And when lifting the header up, you can see how worn out those roller fins are. But I can't complain, we're still moving and yields are better than expected. All right, we are on the far east next to the railroad tracks here, and we're getting off the Enrose. And then right now I'm in Pioneer, and the one we just did to the left is Whiffle. So we'll be able to see what yields better and all that kind of stuff. So, nope, that's what happens. So that is not good. One of the rollers is bad and it plugs up. We think we dialed in the yield monitor just about perfect. This next load should be accurate down the middle of the field, and we'll see what it yields. We were thinking about taking that row apart. It's not the row that I just undid, but we're thinking we'll just kind of grind through it, keep an eye on it. And I've been keeping such an eye on it that I missed that other row that hasn't clogged all day. It's going like 2 miles an hour. We'll just go slow through it. Hopefully we don't do any more damage. Load yields up to 230, so things are yielding better.
So we got kind of our own jobs here. So my dad's running the grain cart here. Gary's grain cart he let us use, which actually works really good because we don't have to unhook wagons. And that works super nice. And I'm trucking, Spencer's military truck, and Spencer's combine.
So that buzzing noise is the straw chopper warning alert going off. This pulley system drives the back of the straw chopper. It kind of like shreds all the stuff that comes out the back. There's a sensor in this cover here, behind this cover, the bearing going around and around. So if that bearing were to go out and it wasn't spinning anymore, the sensor senses it and it says, hey, stop before you plug up the back and damage more stuff. So we swapped out the sensor. That wasn't the issue. We chased up some of the wires. That wasn't an issue. And I've been reading more forums and found one that I hadn't read before because this issue has been going on all of corn harvest. And Grant's been combining the whole time. I don't know how he lives with it. He said he just put it in the AirPods and turned up the music. But I'm getting annoyed of it. And so I'm wondering, I think we over-greased this bearing at one point and shot grease everywhere. That's what I originally thought was wrong with it. On the sensor there was grease. We swapped out the sensor. Swapped it out to this one. I think all we have to do is unplug this guy right here and plug it into this, and that's the bypass. When you're harvesting a different crop or something, I don't think you want the straw chopper. And so some people don't want that buzzer going off when they're going the whole time. So I think there's a built-in bypass, and we could have saved Grant like 3 days, 4 days worth of headache. So I unplug this guy, then just plug this in. This totally makes sense, and I think this totally makes sense. I don't know why. I just didn't see it on a forum before, or I didn't find that. I'm gonna test that out first. If it doesn't work, sensor, bearing, indicator spinning. All right, it's not beeping anymore. The whole time in here is just beeping. And yeah, so we're gonna fill the grain cart and then be done for the night. So none of the wagons have tarps on them, and they're saying pretty good chance of rain, like midnight tonight. Otherwise, we'd fill those, tarp them, and then take them in the morning after the rain, and you can't combine yet. That was my original plan. Combine until dark here. We're just gonna fill the cart because it's got a tarp.
We got 2/10 of rain, and 2/10 of rain is just perfect to make everything greasy. So we're stuck. Here we go. Let's see what he does. Okay, Spence is gonna need speed and momentum. On second thought, we probably shouldn't pull this full wagon up that creek. You guys better thank me. I think it was worth it. The other thing, truck usually always climbs out of there. She got a little stuck, but she was just a little slimy. The corn head is a little clapped out right now. We got stock rolls on the 3rd row that aren't grabbing correctly, so it doesn't help when we're in any type of wet moisture stock. It just plugs like crazy. And then we got some weird sounds coming from the left side, which we looked at. It's vague, and that's how we're gonna keep it until we finish those last 14 acres. We're not stopping because we got like 3 or 4 days worth of rain coming, and it's gonna get very greasy and muddy if we don't finish. So we're gonna try and get finished here today.
All right, Grant thinks he figured out what row is going bad. He thinks it's the far left one, which isn't the one that's been plugging. Banging noise you're gonna hear, we think it's the left one. We're gonna try and test each row. It's 1 o'clock now. It's a perfect fall day. It's gonna get all the way up to 75 degrees. We're doing anywhere 320 to 200. Load yield we just reset is 225. Totally happy with the yields and better than I could have kind of thought. With the corn head acting up so much and it plugging so often, I have to keep the head speed up, and then we're actually going pretty slow. So going probably 1.6, 1.7 mile an hour. Please don't plug, please don't plug, please don't plug. There we go, we're done. Of course. We're officially done with the 30 acres. Right now, field average is 210 bushels. Things are going actually pretty good, besides that guy over there. Pretty cool stuff. Going and seeing all that, I was always curious what it was gonna yield. It's honestly fairly consistent, and anything that is dark green is 230 or better. We gotta cross the creek. All right, we are starting 10 acres left. It is 2:15. We should be able to get this just fine here. The tallest corn right here. This is gonna be very interesting. I'm gonna jump in here. This corn is 11.5 feet tall, so a little bit of weight did a lot, but that's the worst spot by far. There is. Yeah, this stuff is yielding awesome. Besides when I plug, it's not awesome, but that's okay. There it did 225 on end rows, point rows. I think this is going to yield better, but it is kind of a weird shape, so you end up with a lot of point rows that deduct your yield. It's where you're pretty much double planting, and then all the plants, some of them, then kind of fall over because they have to compete with each other because there's twice as many in one spot.
So I've just been hauling for Spencer all day, but we got this guy, the farm guy. He stopped me at the co-op, and his dad's in front of us. What's your dream job? To farm. Okay, what's the new mobile game that's gonna come out?
America Farming.
Yes, nice.
All right, we're gonna make some adjustments real quick to the combine. Seems like a bit too much is coming out the back. We got low fuel, so we're gonna top it off. Grant picked up a hitchhiker at the co-op. What's up?
Nothing.
Picking up all the ears that I missed when I combine. Yeah, if you find any ears, toss it in the header. It's pretty slow going with the head, because that happens.
We're on the last 5 acres. We're not going to stop now. We're going to hammer down nice and slow. We have 2 hours till the co-op closes. If we can't get the last load in, that's totally fine. I'll just come back tomorrow driving in, and then fun. It's just that one row. It would be nice to have fixed it before coming here, but we didn't know it was this big of an issue. And I think the good stock health of the corn kind of amplifies the problem. A little update. It's we brought in the last load of corn, but we're still combining, so we technically won't finish till tomorrow because we'll bring in one more wagon load. But it's yielding pretty good over here, and the field average is coming up to 211, which is cool to see. And then we are still plugging away at 1.5 miles an hour, and we could run out of fuel. I am out of fuel in my transfer tank in the pickup truck. Oh no, baby, don't do it. Sometimes you gotta sing to her. Down. We were going 1.5 miles an hour and it plugged up on us. And I should have went a bit slower into that. Lovely. That one was my fault. That one was my fault.
The last corn stalks for 2023 with a corn head that's about to explode. And she made it. How was harvest? What did you think of your first harvest?
If you said in the springtime that the farm was going to yield, this field was going to yield 215, I would be super happy and stuff. But then obviously you sit in the combine with Grant's 80 acres that did 270. It's like, oh dang, that's doing really good and stuff. And when we come out here over the summer and coming up to the fall, looking at ear size and all that, you're like, oh wow, this could do, you know, 250. So. But there's so many tree edge effects and stuff like that through the field consistently, probably 235, 240. I'll have to double check that. Yeah, super happy. I literally can't complain. It would be nice if the combine was running good. Maybe we left some yield there because we run the head speed really fast. Some cobs were jumping out. Maybe the combine isn't fully running up to its, you know, having the combine totally full. So I don't know. Maybe a little too much out the back too. It was just kind of, not everything was perfect, which it's not going to be the first year is kind of what I'm thinking. So stuff to do probably better next year.
Grant decided to take the combine to the dealer for service and storage over the winter months, and it's really helpful because we don't have a close place to store it just yet. And while leaving, he almost ran over a nice buck. He said it jumped out of the ditch randomly, and of course he wasn't looking for a deer in a combine. But it was pretty cool to see it run across the field like that, and I had half a wagon load to bring in yet. And in the end, we brought in 9,010 bushels of dry corn on 42.5 acres, which brings our total to 212 bushels to the acre for our average. Now, the really cool part, the iPad that you saw in the combine, it was registering all this data so we can come back, sit on the computer, and look at what spots are yielding good, bad, and try and figure out why. So when looking at this, pay attention to the scale because I can really easily make everything look like it's all green and yielding really good. Anything in the darkest shade of green is 280 plus. And then the bottom end of green is 225. So anything that is yellow is 225 and below. And so this is pretty cool to see. You can really start to see areas that yield good, possibly wet spots. And then right here on the side is tree damage, and animal damage too, deer damage too. Looking on the south part, I know for certain this is a wet spot right here. And then here it sits wet as well. And right there too. That was literally upon the spring. What's kind of cool to see, not really, but all these little red dots are me picking up the head. So, and then you can start to see spots where I had the Wiffles seed. We planted Wiffles and Pioneer, and the whiffles, we had some planter issues. So you can start to see that pop up. But for example, right here, I know for certain this sits wet because this spring I couldn't plant part of it, and I think it's just the broken tile. So we'll get that fixed. Stuff like that we will fix up. And then this right here is totally my fault. Planter issue. I double planted here, screwed up big time, and like little things like that, point rows and bad planting does kind of mess up the yield too. And one of the best things has got to be you can literally make a rectangle on this map and see what this section yielded. So those 7 acres, it gets into a wet spot, did 236. And then the competition we were running, you have Whiffles and Pioneer. It looks like Whiffles barely beat it out in this section, just by, what is that, 5 acres. And a super nice thing is you can see side by side the hybrids, what they did for yield. And it looks like Whiffles beat it out by a small margin, just 5 bushels. Let's make a quick new rectangle because we had the Whiffles have a planter issue and just some of the seeds didn't go down in the ground this spring. So this should be a bit more accurate. This is a new square that I highlighted. Whiffles did 236 here. Pioneer did 217, which is just under a 20 bushel yield difference in this part of the field. In the end, my thoughts are we did leave some yield out there with having the combine head not running smoothly. I saw some cobs kind of flying out, and it did seem like there was a lot of loss on the ground from the header. But it's kind of one of those things, you just make it the best you possibly can and keep chugging along, because we were not going to take apart that head right there in the field. I don't have a lot of tools on me, and then we'd probably make it worse. My final thoughts are things turned out better than expected given the circumstances. By the time I was the winning bid at the auction, we closed on the land, and then I was actually able to get my feet on it and start doing some of the groundwork to get it ready for the planter. We got pretty lucky with really nice weather this spring to do all the field work we did, and we ended up planting May 20th, which was later than I wanted to, but I can't complain with yields being above 200. I now have some plans that I want to try and do in the future to improve yields on this field and then also make it more profitable. So we'll see how it goes. This was fun.